Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty.
Justice is finally served for Ahmaud Arbery, his family, and Black America. But while they celebrate this victory, we should never forget a young black man's life is gone forever. An empty seat at the dinner table, a somber reminder for Ahmaud's family this Thanksgiving, and each and every year after that. Also missing from their dinner tables this year, the 3 white men who stole Ahmaud Arbery's life. The question now, how long will Travis McMichael, his father Greg, their neighbor William Roddie Bryan spend behind bars for chasing, cornering, and killing a 25-year-old black man who was simply out jogging? Good morning on this Black Friday and welcome to DC Today. I'm Del Walters in Washington. Georgia state prosecutors not holding back in the punishment they are expected to ask the judge for. Travis and Greg McMichael facing life in prison without parole, plus an additional 35 years for Travis and Greg McMichael. William Roddie Bryan also faces life without parole, 15 years on top of that. BNC's chief legal analyst, Laura McNeal, is with us this morning to talk about what's next. But first, let's hear from Ahmaud's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, who faced another holiday without her son.
And this is the second Thanksgiving that my family and I will share without Ahmaud. But this is the first Thanksgiving that we can look at that empty chair and say, we finally got justice for you, Ahmaud. So, I mean, it's like a bittersweet moment.
Now, Ahmaud's killers are expected to miss the rest of their lives without any holidays. Laura, how much time do you really think these men will get?
You know, because of the cruelty and brutality of this crime, I really do think that Judge Wamsley is going to give them the full force of the law, life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, the only exception he might make would be with respect to Roddie Bryan, because he wasn't as involved as some could make the argument as the other 2 defendants.
Now, what about the federal trial that is scheduled for April? First of all, will it go on? And secondly, what does it entail?
Yeah, so essentially they have filed charges against them. They've been indicted, meaning all 3 defendants, Travis, Greg McMichael, as well as Roddie Bryan, for federal hate crimes. And they have been charged with 1 count of interference of rights, as well as 1 count of attempted kidnapping. And then the McMichaels have been charged with using, carrying, and brandishing a firearm. Now, these federal hate crimes have some pretty severe penalties available to them, which would also include a mandatory life sentence. And so if they are indicted on these federal charges, this federal sentencing guidelines say there are no options, there's no wiggle room, they will get life in prison.
Laura, what is America and Black America to make of the jury verdict? 11 whites, 1 black. So much attention was paid to the makeup of the jury itself, and yet in the end, both sides said justice was served, the jury system worked.
Yeah, I think it shows for America that the jury system can work, but it doesn't take away the fact that it still doesn't work on so many levels. There are so many Ahmaud Arbery's that do not get a fair outcome, don't get a fair verdict, simply because of the racial makeup of the jury. So it shows how our system could work, but we're a long way from making sure that everyone gets a fair and impartial trial and everyone gets a fair and impartial jury.
And Laura, I know that you were at the George Floyd trial and the verdict that was delivered there. There were fears what would happen after that. Nothing happened after that. You now have watched, as we watched the trial of the 3 white men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery be convicted. There were fears of what would happen after that trial. Nothing happened then. Is it possible that at least the judicial system might be able to say that verdicts can be rendered without fear of possible retaliation in Black America, because it hasn't happened?
You know, I don't think they can say that. The reality is, I think had the verdict been not guilty, we would have seen massive protests all around the country, because one thing we've learned from the Daunte Wright killing, the George Floyd killing, people are not willing to sit by idly anymore on their couches in front of their television. When they see injustices, they will take it to the streets, they will march, let their voices be heard, and I think that still will happen. Today, we had a good outcome in terms of the Ahmaud Arbery killing, but that doesn't mean it won't happen again. And so I think America just got a break this time. They were able to exhale. However, if needed, they will get back on the streets. They will march for justice.
And I should point out that you predicted that there would be a verdict on that day, but you also said that you expected the verdict to be mixed. Is this an indication, in your opinion, legally, that this particular jury paid close attention to what the law was?
It is. It is. I was really surprised, again, that they weren't more mixed than they were, that Roddie Bryant got as many charges guilty as he did. But I think the jury did a wonderful job, and I really have to give credit to the prosecution. Attorney Danikowski did a phenomenal job making sure they understood how to apply the facts to the law and what the law was, and it shows that they understood the law and they understood what their duty was, and they did a great job.
One chapter now in the books, but the saga itself is not over. Laura McNeal, our chief legal analyst here at BNC. Laura, as always, thanks for being with us.